Humber, southwest 4 to 6, veering west 5 to 7, rain at first, good, occasionally moderate at first. Thames, Dover, southwest 5 to 7, veering west 4 to 6, rain for a time, moderate or good.
Over the past 3 years, I've travelled the coastlines of the British Isles and Europe, exploring the regions featured in the shipping forecast. A weather service broadcast by the Met Office on BBC Radio 4 to aid those at sea. The forecast has taken on an almost mythical quality, a secular prayer, a soothing mantra recited nightly and listened to by many who have no connection to the sea. It's poetry, mentioning curious, almost otherworldly places like North Azura and Croaky, and places I've had the chance to visit. A welcome sight on my travels have been the seals, either bobbing in the water or hauled up as they digest their dinner. 2 species are found along the coast of the British Isles, the grey seal, of which about 40% of the global population is resident here, and the common or harbour seal, which is less common than the grey. Distinguishing between the two is relatively easy once you know the features. Grey seals have a distinct Roman nose, or dog-like profile, earning them the Latin name Helichurus grippus, which translates to hook-nosed sea pig. In contrast, the smaller common seal has a stubby nose with a V-shaped nostrils and a softer, rounder face. Globally, common seals are found in numbers similar to that of the grey seal, and it's estimated between 350,000 and 500,000 individuals. However, their distribution is more widespread, encompassing areas like the North Atlantic and the North Pacific along the American coast, as well as Greenland. Unlike grey seals, which have a stronger presence in UK waters, common seals have a population of about 30,000 in the British Isles, but it's still a significant yet smaller figure compared to the 120,000 grey seals. True to their name, common seals are often found in sheltered bays and harbours and estuaries. Scotland is a stronghold for them. Their breeding season occurs in late spring to early summer. Unlike grey seal pups, which are born with fluffy white coats, common seal pups are ready to swim within a few hours of birth. This quick adaptability is a testament to their life on the more exposed coastal environments. Today, on this overcast November morning, I'm on the mud flats and sands of the Humber sector of the shipping forecast. At first glance, this stretch of coastline might seem unremarkable. It's flat with no dramatic cliffs or striking features like harbours or islands. But here lies an experience unlike any other. It's a safari of sorts, where you can encounter one of Britain's largest semi-land mammals, the grey seal. At Donna Nook, it's a long nature reserve covering about 10 kilometres between Grantham Haven and Saltfleet in the south. Thousands of grey seals come ashore each year to give birth. Between early November and late December, around 2,000 pups are born here. With such a large population of grey seals making the UK their home, it accounts for 40% of the global population and a staggering 90% of Europe's. This makes our waters a vital global habitat for these incredible animals. Much of England's wild landscapes, its fells, mountains and moors, are surprisingly devoid of nature. Centuries ago, native species like bears, wolves and beavers were driven to extinction, and our once extensive wild woodlands were reduced to scattered fragmented pockets. England, more than most places, has been tamed and domesticated. But the true wilderness of Britain, the globally significant habitat, lies not on land, but along its coastlines and inshore waters. This nature reserve is far larger than the Yellowstone National Park, yet it's often unnoticed, especially along the Humber coastline, where vast mud and sandbanks dominate the scenery, and the mud muddies the water. When we picture thriving wildlife, we often imagine crystal clear seas and rugged, untouched coastlines. Yet it's in this murky, nutrient-rich waters are places like the Humber that teem with life. These ecosystems support everything from tiny plankton to shellfish to fish and, of course, the grey seals that feed on them. At Donna Nook, you can witness this remarkable ecosystem up close. The grey seals here are impressive, some weighing up to 300 kilograms, with sharp teeth and a temperament as fierce as any African predator. Despite their adorable appearance, these animals are no joke. For safety, fences and volunteer rangers keep visitors at a respectful distance, with clear warnings not to wander into the seal's nursery. Female seals, or cows, arrive on shore already heavily pregnant, ready to give birth. Younger, less experienced mothers tend to stay on the fringes of the group, away from the central crowds. The pups are born covered in fluffy white fur, and for the next 3 weeks they will nurse on their mother's fat, rich milk, tripling their body weight. By the time they shed their white fur, they'll be ready to follow their mothers into the sea to learn how to hunt. Though they are superbly adapted to aquatic life, seals must return to land or rocks to digest their food, which makes them as much a land mammal as a marine hunter. Cows mate soon after weaning their pups, typically 2 or 3 weeks after giving birth. The males, or bulls, compete aggressively for the right to mate, engaging in ferocious battles. The loser will retreat too exhausted to continue, while the victor may mate with up to 10 females in a single season. Female seals reach sexual maturity between 3 and 5 years of age, while the males take longer, maturing at around 4 to 6 years, as they need time to grow large enough to compete. Even then, mating is far from guaranteed, as pride and breeding sites like Donna Nook attract the largest, strongest bulls. It's a dramatic and often brutal spectacle, part of the natural rhythm of this extraordinary coastline wilderness. At the start of the 20th century, the grey seal population in British waters was perilously low, just 500 individuals, teetering on the brink of extinction. Thanks to conservation efforts, these numbers have rebounded to an estimated 120,000 across the British Isles, with a global population of around 400,000. Grey seals now thrive in waters stretching along the Norwegian coast to Iceland to Nova Scotia. While 400,000 may sound substantial, it pales into comparison to human domesticated animals. In England alone, there are over 5 million cattle. Wildlife remains under constant threat, competing with humanity for space and resources. One of the greatest threats to marine life has been overfishing. Along the eastern coast from northern Scotland to the Thames and across to the North Sea to Norway and Denmark, herring were once considered silver of the sea, an abundant and prized catch that fed cities and drove coastal economies. By the late 1960s, the herring populations collapsed, devastating marine ecosystems and the fishing communities all along the North Sea. And once common fish like mackerel and cod and skate have become commercially extinct in the North Sea, with profound consequences for marine predators such as sharks and the grey whale. Compounding the problem, human activities like fertilizer runoff, dredging and pollution have decimated colonies of oysters and the vibrant seagrass meadows, which are vital for aquatic habitats. The low point came in the 1970s when fishermen were extracting an unsustainable 40% of all fish biomass each year, leading to widespread ecological collapse and the ruin of the fishing industry. International cooperation and stricter fishing quotas have since begun to reverse the damage, and there are signs of recovery. However, much remains to be done. Key change would be the banning of destructive practices like bottom trawling, which ploughs through the seabed, destroying the delicate ecosystems and leaving long-lasting scars. Protecting these underwater habitats is essential, not just for the survival of species like grey seals, but for the health of the entire marine environment, a wilderness as rich and fragile as it is overlooked. We often focus our concerns on far-off places like the Amazon rainforest, worrying about habitat destruction and the loss of wildlife. Without nature, our world would become dull, a domesticated landscape at best, lifeless and uninspiring, and at worst, teetering on the edge of collapse, threatening the survival of our own civilization. While saving the Amazon might feel out of our hands, there's something we can directly influence: the protection of our own unique and biodiverse inland and coastal waters. We have the power to demand better. By raising our voices, we can push for stricter pollution controls, sustainable fishing practices, and the recovery of fish stocks and their predators. Creatures that are not just beautiful, but essential to the balance of our ecosystems. Even though much of this wilderness is hidden from sight, it deserves to be valued and fought for. Going on an English safari, like visiting the grey seals at Donna Nook, offers a tangible connection to this hidden world. Seeing these magnificent animals close up reminds us of the richness of life in our waters and the importance of protecting it. These experiences inspire a sense of wonder and a reason to fight for the wild places and creatures that make our planet extraordinary. I hope you enjoyed this. Do subscribe, like and comment.